Okay, everybody, I think that we're live here. I'm going to switch over to the screen share really quickly. There we go. All right, so I'm starting up here, and as the marketing or emails for this implied, we're going to be talking about Wix, Weebly, and Squarespace today. Those three website platforms. Why you want to be careful about using them, I guess, is the big thing. So before we get started, I want to make sure that everybody can see the charts and that you can hear me. And if you can, please enter that into the chat. And I am going to close Skype on this computer so that it's not blasting away at me. But if you can, please let me know if you can hear me. That would be great. Okay, Megan says I can hear you. Good deal. I'm going to go ahead and make the chat public because it seems like a few people are maybe having a hard time seeing. And then if you're having a hard time, go ahead and chat it in there, and Megan will tell you how to make your screen work. Okay, so Marcia said she could only see a black screen. Stand by. So you may want to, Marcia, just go ahead and refresh now, and you should be able to see everything, I would think. And Megan will help you guys out with that. So I'm going to yeah, good, Roya, good, Danielle, awesome. You guys are seeing and hearing, and everything's good. Okay, so that being the case, I'm going to go ahead and dive in. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is what you're going to learn today, okay? So really, what you're going to learn is why we don't develop therapist websites with Wix, Weebly, or Squarespace, okay? We at Counseling Wise, why we don't do that. And what you're going to learn in this is that you're going to learn a better way to assess website platforms, okay? So many of you already have a website up. Many of you don't have a website up. Many of you are ready to go for website number 2 because maybe what you put up first was, you know, a starter website, maybe a little remedial, whatever, okay? And if that's the case, then you're going to be looking around and you're ready to go to something new. What I want to do is I want to give you a better understanding of how to choose a platform that's really going to serve you going into the future and that's actually going to work for you in terms of getting clients. So if you're on Wix or Weebly or Squarespace now, my hope is that after this presentation you'll understand what is happening, okay, how it works, what's affecting the performance of your website on those platforms, and then you can make a conscious decision as to whether you want to stay on those platforms or not. Okay, so those are the goals here of this presentation. Now, why these three platforms, right? Why am I only talking about Wix, Weebly, and Squarespace, and I'm not talking about, you know, youll and therapy sites and all these other things? I could. A lot of things I'm going to say apply to other platforms as well. But recently, we did SEO analysis work for, actually Megan tells me this morning it was 74 therapists, not 73. But I presented at the Mind Your Own Business Telesummit, and as part of that we offered a SEO analysis to folks, and we had 73 or 74 therapists take us up on that. So that was a flood of looking at 74 sites all at once. And in that process, some patterns emerged, okay? So for years I've been doing this anyway, you know, taking a look at people's websites, telling them what's working, what's not working, all that good stuff. So I had an inkling about Wix, Weebly, and Squarespace because piecemeal I had seen them over time. And I had seen some strengths and some weaknesses with them. But boy, when you get 74 of these all at once and you look at them, and a fair number of them were Wix, Squarespace, and Weebly, then we, you know, then it was like, oh, okay, now this is really clear what the weaknesses are. Okay, so that is why I felt moved to actually get this information out there, tell you guys about it so that you can make conscious decisions. There's so many people who put hours and hours and hours in their website, and then it doesn't end up working for them, and they're really discouraged, okay? So I have a question for you before we go on any further. Have any of you, and go ahead and just answer yes or no, have any of you put up a website and spent less than, let's say, 50 hours on it? Okay, spent less than 50 hours of your time putting up the website. So go ahead and answer me in the chat. Since there's a delay, I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to be really interested to hear what you have to say, because websites are typically very time consuming, and so you might as well do it right the first time. All right, so go ahead and put in the hours that you've spent on your website, or yes if you have spent less than 50 hours. Okay, so the challenge is that you need a website. Okay, you need a website, and you want a way that you can build it yourself. Okay, right? Who wouldn't want to be in control of their own destiny? And these platforms, these three, Wix, Weebly, and Squarespace, on the surface they look very user-friendly. They have attractive theme choices, and they're very affordable, right? So who wouldn't want to use them? I would, right? I would want to use them. I mean, look at them. They have very professional marketing departments. They got a lot of money to put money into marketing, and look at it. There it is, right? It's like, who wouldn't want that? That looks really cool. And it says easy to customize, no coding, you know, it's free. Start now. That sounds quite inviting, right? Look at Weebly. Your idea needs a great website. It's easy to create. You know, watch the video, sign up for free. I mean, who wouldn't want this? Very enticing, right? And then here's Squarespace. Pretty classy looking, you know, really nice theme. If you click on that, you watch, you know, this video icon here at the bottom left. If you click on that, then it's a pretty good video. They put a lot of money into creating that video, okay? So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of no's in here. No, it was less than, you know, you didn't do it. Jamie says with copywriting it was at least 50. Some people don't have websites up yet. But it's a very time-consuming process, okay? So you look at these platforms, and they look pretty easy and snazzy and all this good stuff. The only problem is that therapists, as a rule, aren't technical experts, and we're not marketing experts, okay? We typically do not understand things that affect our fate in terms of online marketing, such as ranking, engagement, and conversion. And I'm going to talk with you about what those are. But we don't understand those things, okay? So it's similar to, I don't know, it's similar to, you know, going to buy a car, okay? And so we may not, you know, going to buy a car without looking at consumer reports or something like that. So you guys remember when the Hyundais first came out? You know, they looked really pretty, you know, design-wise, they looked really nice. They were affordable, all that good stuff. So a lot of people got those. They were kind of a nightmare in terms of breaking down all the time. Of course, they've improved over time, but it was a disaster. And so Roya says, I've spent many, many hours and years on my website. Yes, I relate to you, Roya. I know what you're talking about. Anyway, you know, it's the Hyundai days. The first people who bought those things, they regretted those decisions. Okay, they broke down all the time. Reliability was terrible. So you have to think of buying things with an educated eye. That's the whole message. Okay. So what is your website used for? What is it really there for? Is it just to look pretty? Is it so that you can walk around with a smile on the face and high-five your friends saying, I have a website up? You know, those are sure fun things, right? In the beginning, those are pretty neat things. I've been there too. First site I put up, man, I was so proud of myself. I had the site up, and I thought it looked pretty nice, you know? And, I mean, it had my green leaves on it signifying growth, and it had all these pages, and there was quite a sense of accomplishment in actually doing that. Now, I kind of, in the process of putting it up, lost sight of the whole goal, and the goal was to get client calls, and that didn't happen. So most of us don't understand what goes into making this work, and so we can get lost in the process of a new shiny toy and kind of forget what we're doing it for, all right? So that's the whole point. Now, ranking means whether or not your site will be presented by Google when a search is done. So somebody comes to your city and they type in counselor Austin or whatever, okay, or eating disorders therapist Minneapolis. Now, whether or not your site is going to show up depends upon whether or not you have good SEO and you have good ranking ability with your site. Okay, so that's the first thing that I care about now that I'm so educated with this. And the other thing I really care a lot about is engagement, because even if you get ranked and people come to your site, if they don't engage and they just bounce away, doesn't matter, right? You're not getting what you want. What you really want is you want this site to bring you clients. You want to be able to put this thing up and you want your phone to start ringing. You want to be able to do whatever marketing you need to do with the site, have the flexibility to do it so that you can get your phone to ring and you can get clients sitting on your couch. Okay, that is the end goal. And anything short of that, it was all an exercise in time usage, I guess, right? So we don't want that. We don't want to just put one up for no reason. We actually want it to work. If people engage on your site, okay, if they come to your site, they find the content engaging, they can find it right away, they end up staying, they end up reading, that's called engagement, which we can measure. We can measure that very easily, and I'll show you a little bit about that in a minute. They will feel impacted. Obviously, the impact is what's keeping them there. They're feeling impacted. And if they are impacted, they convert. So what we mean by convert or conversion is that they become clients. They convert from a visitor to a client, okay, or a visitor to a caller or something like that. Tara says, my computer kept me off. Can you please say what SEO is? SEO is search engine optimization, and it's what you do to your site to make it optimized so that search engines will rank you. All right? So that's the answer there. All right, so given that we want to rank and engage, we're going to get back to the fact that you've looked at these little shiny objects, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, therapy sites. The list goes on and on. You may easily choose one of these platforms, right, because they look pretty cool. You may even feel victorious that you launched a site on one of these platforms. But in the end, it may not help you build your practice. And this is what I see over and over and over every week, almost every day. And it's pretty disheartening, okay? It just is. So that's the deal. That's why I'm presenting this today, and that's why I want you to really understand what goes into this. So who is this presentation for? Well, here's the thing. If you are in a small town or a very non-competitive niche, these platforms may work just fine for you, okay? Really, if you're in a very small town or if you're in a very non-competitive niche. Let's say that you are even in New York and you specialize in, I don't know, helping polyamorous Chinese clients resolve their relationship issues. Okay, that's pretty narrow, huh? The platform may be fine for you, because the little SEO that you can do, the little ranking you can do, you're going to rank for that. Now, you're probably not going to have very many people searching on that, right? Okay? Kind of a silly example. But the point is, if it's a very non-competitive niche and not that many people are trying to rank for those terms, then these sites may work for you. Okay? Also, if you're in a very, very small town and there's no other counselors there, it doesn't really matter. If you have website presence, you're probably pretty golden. Okay? So these sites would be fine for you. But if you're in a competitive market, which most of our clients are, these sites probably won't work for you. They're just not going to do the trick, either from a ranking perspective or an engagement perspective, or both. Most likely both. Now, if you are someone who has already launched one of these sites and you are disappointed in the results, this will help you see what's happening, why it's not working, okay? Or if you're in a very small town, it's working like gangbusters, then you'll understand, oh, that's why it's still working, because I don't have a lot of competition. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Now, let me address this. Why listen to me? Okay, you may question my motive, right? I'm counseling wise. In addition to providing a bunch of free training in the industry, we actually develop websites for people, right? So of course I'm going to say these aren't good, because that's not what we develop in, and I'm going to try to convince you of something else. Well, the funny thing is, you and I have the same goals. Okay, you and I have the same goals. We both need to develop websites. You need to develop one for your practice. I need to develop them for my clients. And we are both faced with the same problem. the sheer number of hours that each of these websites takes, okay, our life, years, it seems, okay? They take forever. They take a lot of time. I mean, you guys have no idea. Do you know what my cost on my business was last month? $27,000 in labor. Okay, can you imagine that? That's a lot of money, right? Because this process of getting up good websites with good communication, it takes time. So, given that, we really want to make sure that what we're putting all our time into is actually bringing clients to the practices, right? We want it to work. That's it. We want it to work. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't make sense to keep doing it. So I'm in a different position than you are, in that I need the best opportunity I can get to help people be successful. I have clients in major cities with competitive niches. You may be in that boat too. You may be in a major city or even a medium city. I mean, you know, Boulder is not a major city, but boy, is it competitive here. And you know, I have people in competitive niches. So what I need to do is I need to choose the best website solution that will give me the best possible outcome. Why is that? Well, you guys know the story. Happy clients leads to referrals, leads to more business, right? If I'm delivering websites, if people are spending this money and all this time getting these websites up with us, and they don't work to bring them clients, I'm not going to get any referrals, okay? I'm happy to say that most of our business is coming through referrals these days. So your livelihood depends on your choice, right? Your livelihood depends on your choice. So does mine. So you and I are in the same boat with this. And that's why I think that my perspective on what works and what doesn't work is going to be of service to you. Now, all that being said, I am going to tell you that I am going to be making an offer at the end of this presentation. If you don't want to hear how we can help you with your website, then stay for the education, but leave before the end. If you want assistance, then stay, okay? So that's our deal, all right? So if you stay, you're willing to hear it. If you leave, that's great. That's fine. Just listen to the educational part in the beginning and leave before I tell you what I have to offer. All right, so let's dive in. What affects ranking? We already know that ranking is a huge part of being successful. That is search engine optimization, SEO. That's the biggest thing that affects ranking. The next biggest thing, and this could actually be the biggest thing depending on your situation, is 301 redirects. If you've had a site before that had that had authority, it's been up many years, it had authority, and you move to a platform where you can't do a 301 redirect, you are toast. Okay, you've just thrown away all those years of authority. So 301 redirects really affects ranking, and number of pages really affects ranking. There is a direct correlation. I did a presentation on this before, and I presented a study that another company had done on plastic surgeons. There's a direct correlation between number of pages on a website and whether they rank or not. Okay? Now, the biggest factor that helps ranking or helps site growth, number of pages, is blogs. So your blogs, you have to have the ability to have blogs, and you also have to have them be optimizable. The other factor, well, there's actually 200 factors that affect ranking, but these are the big ones, and these are the ones that website platforms affect. The average time that a visitor stays on your site, okay? So that's driven by engagement. If they don't find things interesting and they can't easily navigate and they don't stay on the site, they're going to come to your site and bounce, and that hurts your rankings. So Google looks at all this, okay? They're going to say, hey, somebody typed in eating disorders, you know, Cincinnati, okay? And here's all these sites that we could put up for that because they're supposedly about this. So let's put these sites up. And oh, look at that. The top one, they bounced right away. So there must not be very much good content on that site, or it's not really about eating disorders in Cincinnati. And so black mark against that site. It's not going to rank as high over time. Okay, but if somebody clicks on your site and somebody stays, you know, those folks stay on that site for a long time, so your visitor duration is high, Google says, wow, people are really having a good experience on this site. They're staying and they're reading. You know, they start at the home page and they go to this page and they go to this page. And so look at that. You know, that must be a really good result. and we should move that higher in the search engine results. That's how that works. So that's why in the beginning, when you do get a good SEO, you're going to start out low just like everybody else, but over time you're going to climb up, and then the more people who come to your site and stay for a long time, driving up that visitor duration, Google says this is a great, this is a proven site here. People come and they stay, so let's rank this at the top. So that's how that works. That's why engagement is so important. So what affects engagement? What drives it? Well, the presentation of the content drives it. If somebody comes to the site, stay with that example, eating disorder Cincinnati, do they immediately see what they want to see, and can they get to it? So let's say they type that in, eating disorders therapist Cincinnati, and you have a cover page on your site that says, hi, my name is so-and-so, I've been a therapist for 25 years, I treat people with depression, anxiety, eating disorders, ADHD, relationship issues, whatever, blah, 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 give me a call. That's not going to be very enticing, and they can't actually get to more information about eating disorders, right? Because you don't have anything for them. But if you have something that says, hey, need help with eating disorders? Look here, you can click here for anorexia, here for bulimia, here for binge eating. If you don't even know what's going on exactly, click here. I can help you figure it out. That's engaging, right? They can go right to one of those things. They already think that maybe bulimia is the problem, maybe for their teenage daughter or something. They go there and they read all about it. Okay, so these are engagement factors, and having content there available, immediately visible, and navigable is really important. So that's the first piece. Now, the second piece is, let's say they go to that page on bulimia, and they're reading it, and they're very captivated. You're just nailing the symptoms left and right. You're giving them hope that you can help them. You're talking about their concerns about coming to therapy. All right, this is a whole other training we have on 7-point marketing message, how you write that page so it's very engaging. But after they read that page, they still may not be ready to do anything, right? Maybe the mom is just now starting to suspect that there's a problem with the daughter, but she's not really ready to do anything because she doesn't really know. She wants to talk to her husband. She wants to talk to her daughter. She wants to find out a little bit more about it. If you just say, call me, and that's it, she may not be ready to do it, and so there's nothing she can do next, so she leaves. If, however, she looks over and she sees in the right sidebar that you have blog posts on the top 3 signs that your daughter has bulimia, etc., then that is something that she's going to read, right? Because she's in that position, she's going to read it. The number 1 mistake that parents make when their teen has an eating disorder. Well, you bet she's going to read that. Why wouldn't she? She's going to read that immediately, and she's going to stay on your site. If you have content like that, she is going to stay on your site, and she's going to read and read and read. Each extra minute that she's on your site is gold for you, okay? Your credibility increases exponentially with each extra minute she's on your site. So presenting this drill down content right there on that bulimia page where it makes sense for that particular potential client is a huge factor, all right? So here's what I mean. I'm going to give you an example of this. This is a client of ours who specializes in pregnancy and postpartum mood disorders. This is the top of her page on this. Down below this top part up here, obviously the marketing message continues down here. But in her sidebar, she has what? She actually specializes in like 7 different things. If she had all her blog posts sitting over here like most people do, or just a blog item at the top navigation like most people do, it would be very boring, right? People wouldn't engage as much. But look here, she has these types of posts right here on this page. I can't stress this enough. I hope that you guys are really getting this. I just had a sip of water there. I hope you're really getting this, because this factor alone will make or break your practice. Whether or not you have website content that is engaging and presented at the time they need it on your site. Okay, so this is an example of someone who has that on that page. Here's another example. Let's say there's a page counseling for parenting issues, right? So the marketing message just starts over here on the left. Over here on the right, there's a whole bunch of things about parenting and families and that kind of thing. Okay, and these are category specific. He doesn't include in here articles about, seniors or eating disorders or depression, right? This is a parenting page, and so we want relevant posts here with the titles that are alluring so that people will click. Okay, so those are examples, and this is a really important point. If you get nothing else from this, take that. Okay, so why do we care about this? Why do we care so much about SEO and engagement? Well, here's an example. Okay, this is one of our clients. In 2013, in the 4-month period from October to February 2013, they had the visitors that are shown here on this orange line here at the bottom. Okay, and we helped them with their site. We did better SEO, and we helped them with this whole engagement thing. Okay, and look what happened. This is their traffic the next year, those same 4 months. Okay, the traffic went up 119%, almost 120%. So and this is organic traffic only. Whoops, organic traffic only. So the previous 4 months, 4 months of the last year, they had 805 visitors. Then they went up to 1,767, just organic. All right. Now also look at this. The average visitor duration, people used to stay for 2 minutes and 27 seconds, which is actually not bad. They had a pretty decent site. But with improving this engagement part, where they put relevant blog posts there, it jumped up 28%. Okay? So these are really important factors, and therefore we want control of these factors. All right, that's why it's so important to look at the platform. We want control of them. We don't want to choose a solution that does not allow us to either rank our site or engage our visitors. That is why this is so important. So let's take a look here. Let's go ahead and dig in. Wix rankability assessment. Okay, on page SEO. Well, it used to be horrible, horrible, horrible. It is because they used to use a Flash format for their websites. It's better now on their new HTML5 version, but it is still lacking. Okay, and it uses some of this stuff is really technical. You don't really care, but it uses this Ajax crawler that many systems can't read, like Google Analytics can't even read it. So it's problematic. All you need to do is Google SEO Wix, and you'll see a lot of very heated discussions out there about why their SEO isn't up to snuff. Okay, so you also can't control your URL on the blog, and if you have a URL, if let's say you write a blog post on signs of teen bulimia, right? You would want that in the URL. You would want it to say sitename.com/signs of teen bulimia. Okay, and you can't control that on Wix. I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. It's going to look like, I think it's down here. Yeah, you see this at the bottom? Your blog is going to look like this, C1IUO or something like that, instead of saying, signs of teen bulimia. Okay, so that's a problem. The next problem with Wix is 301 redirects. They're totally broken. They do not work. No one understands why it's designed this way. They're getting lots of heat about it. So if you have a site that you've had up for 8 years or 7 years or 5 years, I don't care. If you have any authority at all with a site and then you're thinking of moving to Wix, do not do it. Okay, you will lose all of your site authority. You cannot do 301 redirects. So it's a disaster. That's a very harmful scenario. So don't move to Wix if you've been up for a while. Number of pages. You can have a blog. Okay, the SEO on the blog with Wix is rather limited. Again, you can't control the URL naming. That's a problem. And I also believe I couldn't even find it. There were so many arguments about this out there. A lot of people are debating this Wix SEO thing, but I believe you're also limited in terms of your title tag on your Wix blog. All right, can't swear on that one, but couldn't parse through all the arguments, but I think that's the net of it. Let's talk about engageability. The position of content and blog posts is very limited. Okay, so you choose a Wix theme, you cannot create sidebars and control the content. You can only have buttons in the sidebars. So that's not going to really help you, because you can't entice people to keep reading, to stay on the site and keep reading right there from where they are. So that's a major problem in terms of getting this engageability. Okay, Weebly. On-page SEO actually seems to be fine. Of all these platforms, my opinion is that if you had to choose one, Weebly's the best one to choose. Now, it has its limitations. I mean, if there was a way that I, with my company, could choose Weebly as a platform, I would do it. But I won't do it because I really want good results for my clients. But if you have to choose one, Weebly, I think, is the best one to choose. 301 redirects, those seem to be okay. The ability to have a blog, yes, but you cannot have tags and you cannot have plugins, so you're pretty limited with your blog in terms of how you can present content. That kind of gets into the whole engageability part. You cannot position content and blog posts. You cannot create sidebars and control the content. So, you know those websites I showed you before where there was a page on, you know, pregnancy, depression, and postpartum disorder or whatever, and she had those posts only showing on that page. She didn't have a whole bunch of other stuff. You can't do that. And you also can't have a sidebar that shows the blog post right there. Typically, people have to go back up and either see your categories on the site in some themes or go back to the top and start navigating your blog, which they just won't do. They just don't do it, okay? So that's the downside there. Squarespace, the on-page SEO seems to be pretty strong, but you also are limited in that you have to host with them. And the biggest problem with this, which I kind of couldn't believe, is if you've had your own URL, you can't transfer it in. You can't put a Squarespace site on one of your own URLs. That was kind of surprising. 301 redirects, you can do that. Number of pages and the ability to have a blog, yes, you do have the ability to have a blog. Again, with Squarespace, the problem is that you are very limited. Okay, you can't add sidebars in many of the themes, and you can't have variable sidebars. Hurts engagement. So all of these are, you know, all of these are just these limitations that we can't live with because we need to deliver a really good product. So let's go ahead and look at this. Oops, looks like this table kind of scrunched itself on me. SEO, Wix, if you just look at here, you're going to be able to see negatives, neutrals, and positives. Okay, so I'm ranking all of these sites here, comparing them all, and the reason that we end up using WordPress is not because we love WordPress, but because we have the ability to do really strong SEO, to do 301 redirects for every link we need to have really high blog quality, and to have control over the engagement, to really present things when we want. There's some positives with the others. There's a lot of neutrals. Again, you know, this right here is probably the platform I would go to if I had to be on one of these. But if I have my choice, I'm going to go to WordPress just because I can do everything. Now, let me also say that WordPress isn't necessarily as easy. You know, there's not this, oh, well, there is, hey, start here free, right? And you can do some pretty easy things. But in order to implement the savvy marketing things that you need to do to be successful, a lot of people can't do it on their own, all right? So that's the downside. Now, Jill, I think you recently did it on your own. There are some people who can do it on their own. They're going to spend a lot of hours. And that's great. If you can make it happen on your own, go for it. If you want help, that's what we are here for, okay? Ultimately, as I was putting this together, the bigger issue isn't even really the platform, right? The bigger, I mean, if you knew what you needed to know, you wouldn't choose these platforms. So the bigger underlying issue is not knowing what works in terms of ranking and conversion. That's really the big problem. Not knowing how to make it happen. That's the big problem, all right? Usually, doing it on your own is the big problem. And And, you know, it's like most of us would never, you know, try to fix our transmission on our own. We wouldn't do it. But if you know, if we had that problem and somebody was standing there with a sign that said, hey, look here, this is really easy. You can fix your own transmission. All you got to do is click here. Then we might say, oh, hey, that sounds good. I could do that, right? And we might be enticed into doing it. And that's what these platforms do. They entice you into going down this rabbit hole where you think, oh, this is easy, I could do it, but you're missing the whole point. You actually want it to work when it's done. And you don't know what to make it work. Okay, I wouldn't know what the heck I'm supposed to do with a transmission, really. So who cares that I can fix it on my own? I don't know what I'm doing. So here's the deal. Not many therapists will do this. Not many therapists will pay attention to the points that give them good SEO and the points that really cause engagement. Okay, they just won't. They're going to go off and do these other, you know, entangle themselves with the shiny objects. So, a little drink of water there again, pardon me. So if you do, you're going to really stand out. You're going to rank better, you're going to have much higher engagement, and you're going to get clients. All right, there's just no doubt about it. That's the way it works. But how will you do it? Right? How will you do it? If you have to go to a platform where you could do these things and they're a little more technical in the beginning, how will you do it? Well, there is the hard way, and some of you relate to this. It's certainly not impossible, but perhaps some of the people who say that they have spent their lives and years doing this did it the hard way, okay? And then there's the easy way, which is doing it with us via the Smart Therapy Websites program, okay? We developed this program, I developed this program after doing websites for therapists for 7 years and realizing, again, just what I told you, it's not so much that you can get something up. That's not the point. The point is that you can't get something up that's actually going to work. And so I developed this program to really guide people through the process and help them through the process so that at the end of the day it actually works, because that's what we're about. All right, so how does it work? Well, first you join the program. And then we assign a project coordinator to you, and that project coordinator contacts you. We hold a kickoff meeting for you, either via phone or if you're local in the Denver-Boulder area, we have a lot of people who come in for those meetings. And we plan out your website. We help you choose your site design, your site layout, what pages you're going to have, you know, what focus keywords we're going after for SEO, all sorts of this stuff. We coach you on your content, or we write it for you. Now we have, I can't believe our writers. We have writers who've been published in major magazines, okay, like Time Magazine, Ebony, Newsweek. They're very good journalistic writers. So since they're journalistic writers, they're really good at interviewing you. So they interview you about, you know, like if you work with depression, let's talk about that. You know, how do you see depression? What do you think are the big things? How are you different than other therapists in treating depression? So that you come out on the page. It's not the standard, you know, depression affects 10 out of every 40 people in the United States. It's not that kind of stuff that's very boring. It's very engaging, okay? So you're going to come out on the page. So we can help you with that. And if we don't help you write it, we can coach you on how to write it. We have training available to you for all of this, okay? We implement everything that you want on your site, and that would include audio, video, appointment scheduling, payment system, social media integration, etc., etc., etc. And then we do the SEO for you. Of course, SEO is planned in from the beginning, but at the end you actually need to do the SEO meta tagging. We prepare for the launch, and then we go live, okay? So this is what we do. We do this whole process with you, okay? You don't have to figure out how to do all this yourself. We do it with you. And so that's the big difference there. Then there's a members area, okay? And in that members area, there's 18 videos that cover the entire process. I mean, it starts out with a welcome video. You know, most of these are from me. You know, welcome to the process. Here's the journey we're going to take. Here's where it starts. Here's what you need to do next, etc. And it just guides you through the whole step. Prepare you for each step before you get there. You have access to this members area for life. There's lots of tips in there, lots of information, and we're adding new information all the time. And we are always forward looking, okay? I mean, the reason that we are able to, you know, put up sites and get clients for our clients, our therapists, and do all these things is because we're really in touch with what's going on and what's working in the online marketing world. So we're always innovating, we're always testing things out, we're always coming out with new offerings that help even more, and that's what you get when you work with us. Here's a snapshot of the members area, just the beginning of it. On the left you can see all these videos here. So we have this welcome one, we talk about a client strategy meeting. For some people that's needed, for some it's not. We talk about preparing for your kickoff meeting, selecting your site design, you know, on and on and on. So you just click on these videos one at a time, listen to them. So there's you, okay? You could do this by yourself, or you could have the members area, the project coordinator with you, a developer assigned to you, and me. All right, so I am accessible as well, and if you, I mean, there are a number of folks who reach out and ask me little questions as time goes by about, you know, hey, can you give me feedback on this report title or something like that, or can you give me feedback on this as a specialty page or whatever. And I'm happy to engage that way. I also have the ability to consult with you if you want that, okay? Not, you know, it's an hourly fee, but I'm available to you. And I also reach out and check in with every person who's doing a project with us. I personally reach out on a monthly basis just to see how it's going with your project coordinator, how it's working in the members area for you, all of that stuff. And boy, lately especially, I've had so many people just say, this is amazing. I mean, I've had so many bad experiences with developers, and I can't believe that you guys actually have a process, you're organized, I know what's going on, and you're talking to me about what's happening. So this is just awesome. I should have put some of those testimonials up. I mean, some of these people are just raving about that experience. So the details, let's talk details. We are only accepting 10 therapists right now into the program. We can't take on too many at one time, as you can imagine, because it would take us forever to get the sites done. So we're only accepting 10 therapists at this time. We have a specific process that we follow. If you want to fast track in 2 months, we can. We have had some therapists do that. It requires that you are really on top of your game too, in terms of content and decision making. We have had some people actually get this done in 2 months. So we can do that if you're in a big hurry and you're willing to work hard. If you want to go slower, that's fine too. We have a lot of people who they just take their time. They just take their time with each step, and that's fine too. You pay us hourly for the time that you use, okay? So that's how the program works. You pay us hourly. So how much is this worth? Well, it's pretty priceless, I think. 1 6-month client that you get from your website will pay for the website, okay? It's pretty much a no-brainer, and you don't have to worry about whether you're doing it right. Having a team is priceless, okay? This team will really make the difference for you. The feedback I'm getting from from clients on our team, from therapists like you, is pretty uplifting. How much does it cost? Well, it's not cheap. It is not cheap. Remember I told you all those costs and all the time it takes to do this? It's very, it's expensive. So the hourly rate that we offer for this program is $50 an hour. Outside of that, our rates are $60 to $120 for various services, but inside this program, it's $50 an hour, even if you need some strategy work, which is typically on the market $200 to $300 an hour work, okay, high-level strategy work. We are charging $50 an hour for that. So if you get in this program, you get a heck of a lot of value for a very reasonable price, okay? Oops, I don't know why that did that. The total website price will range between $1,500 and $3,000 typically, okay? So it is not cheap, okay? This is not a little freebie thing. This is a total coaching program, a total hand-holding, guru-guided program, if you will, to get you the best website that you can get that is actually going to really get you clients at the end of the day. Now, $15,000 to $3,000 is a big range, okay? It's a big range. And the things that drive that are things that you can control. Customizations that you request, let's say you choose a design and then you decide, okay, we're halfway through and you decide you want it to be 3 shades different of purple and you change your mind 10 times and you want some other really fancy stuff added or whatever, whatever. It costs more, right? It takes more time. Extra functionality, payment processing, appointment scheduling, etc. Content assistance versus do it yourself, right? If we're writing for you, we're charging you for that writing. You can do it yourself with the coaching videos, or you can have us do it. And cost of themes, photos, domain name, all those things are your responsibility as well. We typically will help you in terms of getting the themes and downloading the photos and all that, and then we just bill you the cost of those things. The other thing that is not on here, which is a big deal, is one of the biggest cost drivers we have recently identified is the amount of interaction you need. Some people really want to send us 5 emails a day and ask us every little question, which is totally fine. If they want that level of service, we are there. We're totally there, and we'll do it. It just costs more, right? It just costs more. So that's all there is to it. We have some people who come in and they want us to help them figure out their entire business, what they should be going into, what to name their programs, all that kind of stuff. That's great. We're down with that. We can totally do it. It just ends up costing more, right? So you can control the cost to a large extent just by your interaction with us. So how can you join? You just go to counselingwise.com/smart. You can join. You can sign up there. The way it works is there's an initial payment of $500. This reserves one of the 10 slots. You immediately, within 24 hours, get access to the members area. You can go in there and start looking at the videos in there and get ready to get started. As I said, it covers the first 10 hours of work, and the remaining hours are billed monthly. Okay, so that's how that program works. counselingwise.com/smart. That's where you would go to sign up for this. Now, this always fills, so just telling you, if you want in, you should try to make a decision pretty quickly. When we open it up like this, it has always oversold. Fast action bonus. If you join us by Tuesday, so that's a little less than a week, Tuesday, August 19th at 6 p.m., we will buy you a premium responsive WordPress theme of your choice. Okay, so you get to choose it, and we will get it, and up to a $50 value. If you decide that you want, an $89 theme, there's not very many of those, but something really, really high end, then we will credit $50 towards it. Okay, so that's a little fast action bonus there for you if you sign up by Tuesday. And just know also that it's just going to fill. So if you want one of the 10 spots, you should act anyway, whether you want to save this 50 or not. It'll just fill up. All right, so there is also a no-risk guarantee. Okay, so if you grab a spot and then you change your mind, you'll get a complete refund, no questions asked. Right? Let's say, whatever, you grab a spot and then something happens in your life and you just say, man, I can't do this now. You just tell us, we'll give you a complete refund. Okay? We're not into keeping your money just to keep your money. That's not our thing. If you start and then change your mind, we'll refund any hours not used. Okay, so if you start and you have a kickoff meeting with us and you start going along, and then who knows, somebody comes along and gives you this huge offer and you say, I'm getting out of private practice. Whatever happens, right? It doesn't matter. You just tell us and we will refund any hours not used. Okay, so that's the no risk guarantee. Again, we're not into keeping your money. I really wish that I had this when I was starting. I wish I had a system I could plug into with people who are on my team helping me get all this stuff done, who knew about marketing and engagement and could really give me the best chance in the world that I was going to get clients for my site. I did not. Okay, I fell on my face numerous times before I ended up paying $3,000 to get mentored by someone who knew how to do this. And it really changed my life once I figured it out. So we're here for you. We can make this happen as part of your website development process. So take advantage of it. That's all I got to say. So there's the link. That's it. Strongly urge you. We're really good at what we do. We'd love to work with you. And as I said, they'll be taken. So let's go ahead and move into questions now. At this point, all the questions are public. At this point, it's opened up. So go ahead and ask me any questions you have about, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, any platform at all, about this program, whatever. The other thing I want to tell you is, whoa, great. The other thing I want to tell you, and I don't even know if this is going to show up anymore. It's kind of flashed over to me. let's just say this. If you want to go to our website and if you want more individual attention, okay, then feel free to go there because you have a question and you don't want to ask publicly. I was going to put this up here. Let me do this again. All right. I was going to show you how you do that. If you want to do that, then you can just go to our site, and there's a place on the bottom right where you can say let's talk, okay? So you can do a let's talk thing with me. I'm having to get to that place again. Here you go. The whole presentation on speed dial. Someday we'll get there. But anyway, you can get there and you can just say, hey, I have a question for you. Can I set up a half-hour free consult? And do that. Feel free to do that, and that'll get you in touch with me and we can talk about it. Okay, decide if this is right for you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn to the, I'm going to put this up here. I really am. There's a lot of little clicks here to make this happen. There we go. There it is. If you need a free consult, just go there. Just go to counselingwise.com. Set time to discuss. Just click that. It'll interface with my calendar, and you can choose a half-hour slot, and then you can talk with me. Okay? So that's that, and there's the link to buy if you want. And now I'm going to go to questions. So let's see. A little sip of water here. Okay, Jill asks, if you have multiple specialties, do you have a page? Oh, do you have pages for all of them? Or do you narrow it to a few? What I suggest, Jill, in the beginning is that you narrow it to a few, because if you try to do all the marketing you really need to do to market those specialties well, you're going to go crazy if you have a bunch, okay? So, you know, choose the top 3 that you really want to proactively attract clients for, and go for those first, and write a really good marketing message, and ideally even offer a free report, right? Because that's going to help you build a list and help you market even better, and have blog posts on that specialty. So those 3 things are really what you need to be doing for each specialty. And if you try to do that for 8 specialties out of the box, you're going to feel pretty overwhelmed. So just choose 3, and that's what you should do. Oh yeah, Megan kind of answered that too. Okay. I have very little website knowledge, Marcia says, but how does Google Sites fit into all these other companies? Poorly. Google is another template site project where you're going to be very, very limited, Marcia. So I would definitely stay away from them. The details of it, I can't tell you right now, oh, their SEO is this, their this is that, whatever. But I know that they're a template site, and I've seen some of them, and they haven't done well. And you may be talking about, you know, Google Places or whatever, but I believe there's also Google Sites. Marissa asks, are you exclusively for therapists in private practice? No. We can help anybody, any therapist, any services provider for that matter. We also have several attorney clients, and, you know, anyone who provides services for a business, we can help them. The process is the same. It's all about communicating really well online, okay? That's the trick. And so that's what we do really well. And getting rankings, getting things to show. If you have any other questions, go ahead and put them in. Happy to answer them. Even if it's anything on, you know, whether you should stay with a current platform like Wix or Weebly or Squarespace or therapy sites or whatever. Therapy sites, let me just say a little bit about that. A lot of people start there. It's not a bad place to start, but there's some problems. They give you a bunch of content. If you use it, you have duplicate content with other sites, and they don't have a built-in blog, okay? A built-in blog that's actually hosted on your site's URL. So Google does not see their blogs as page growth on your site. That's the biggest problem with them. You know, in addition to the fact that you're very limited with their designs and stuff, but Google won't see page growth. You can have a blog, but it's on some other platform, and so that's the problem. Okay, that's the big problem. So I have kind of referred to therapy sites in the past as kind of training diapers or whatever. You want to get out of there. If you're in there, you want to do that for a little while to get started and then get out. Okay, just like you wouldn't wear diapers for the rest of your life, don't stay there. All right. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions, and I do realize we're very close to the top of the hour. If you have any, go ahead and put them in, and I will answer. I'll give you like another minute here to type in your answer. We'll see if there's any more. But go check out that page, Smart page on our site, and see what's there. See if that fits for you. And if you want to talk to me personally, feel free to go back to the page here and have contact with me that way. Set up a time. All right, I'm going to say we're done. Over and out. Thanks for attending today, and we'll talk to you on the next webinar. Take care. Becky, over and out. Bye.